Oh, hello. Today we're doing a little book haulage, and I actually have mostly things for my collection in some way or other, either books that I've already read that I wanted to have in physical form, or books that I had in one physical form but I switched to a different physical form, etc., etc. So a lot of exciting things for us to talk about today. But we'll start with something that was sent to me. So I did receive Anne of Manhattan by Brenna Starler from HarperCollins. I really enjoyed this. This is a contemporary romance retelling of Anne of Green Gables. I thought it was super nostalgic but sexy, which is what I was looking for. I will warn you, if you do not want to read about Anne and Gilbert getting it on, this is not a book for you. I, however, was very happy to read about that, so this worked just fine for me. But I just want to make sure people, that seemed to be the big critique people had of oh, Clutching Pearls, I don't want to read that. It's fine if you don't. I grew up on fanfiction.net, so that was fine by me. But anyway, thank you to HarperCollins for sending that my way. And then this next stack are all things that I have for book club or projects. So the last time I was at Target, I did see 2 editions of Nora Roberts in a nicer form. And as you guys know, I'm doing Reading Roberts, which is me trying to read every Nora Roberts book there is. So whenever I see these bind-ups at Target that I don't have, I like to grab them. So first we have Small Town Dreams, which is actually First Impressions and Less of a Stranger. And I think that these were these in 1990 or in 84? These were both in 84, so very early categories from Nora Roberts. And then Catch My Heart is from the early 90s, and I think both of these are in the Stanislavski series she has, which I think I have possibly in e-form, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it's Taming Natasha and Luring a Lady. And it says, oh yeah, okay, meet the Stanislavski siblings in these 2 reader favorite stories of finding love when you need it most. So this is from, I think, 1990-ish. Apparently there's a whole Stanislavski series for me to dive into, and these are 2 of them. So I picked those up. Then I have 3 books for the Blades and Bodice Ripper book club. I'm trying to put these in the order that they will be read. So this is starting in August going through October. So in August, we are reading The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I know nothing about this other than it is an unmissable epic fantasy debut of uprising, espionage, and empire. So, ooh, it looks like it might be a child soldier kind of thing. Okay, interesting. Lots of really good people blurbing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this was Bethany's pick. This is an epic fantasy that we're gonna read in August. Then in September, we are reading The Goblin Emperor from Catherine Addison. Even on the throne, you're only as good as your wits or your heart. This is a vividly imagined fantasy of deadly court intrigue. So this is our September pick. Leanna picked this one, and I believe that there's a sequel coming out this year. This is the September pick, so that is 2 fantasies in a row. And then Amanda's pick, which I confess is the one that I'm most excited for, is The Last Final Girl by Stephen Graham Jones. And this is a horror novel about Last Girl. This is the 3rd book that I know of that's kind of tackling that angle of the last girl of a serial killer who survives and then somebody comes after her later. I think that that is kind of what this is. So anyway, I'm most excited for this one, I'm gonna be honest, but I think all 3 of them sound like they should be fun. Also, just noticed the publisher for this was Lazy Fascist, which I think is an amazing publisher name. So anyway, those are all Blades and Bodice Ripper book club picks. And then for my workbook club, our pick for, I guess, late June into early July is While Justice Sleeps from Stacey Abrams. So I was super excited when my coworker picked this because I'd been wanting to get to this anyway. A couple of people I know have already read this and they said that it's really fun. So I think that this is just going to be a super page-turnery, fun summer read. So I am definitely looking forward to this one. I'm very excited she picked it. We've had some really good picks recently in book club at work. So thumbs up to my coworkers. We happen to all be ladies in this book club, so we're a bunch of fun gals who I feel are picking some really good books. After this is my turn to pick, and I'm thinking about making them read Murderbot. Who's surprised? Then we've got one random book, and then we can transition into collection books. So I did pick up The Best That We Can Do by T. Bowie, which is an illustrated memoir, and I frankly just picked this up because Ashley from Bookish Realm recommended it to me, and that's kind of enough in terms of what I need to do to go ahead and pick something up. I'm also always excited to find graphic novels that are nonfiction, like that's something I really enjoy, so I appreciated that recommendation, and I look forward to getting to it eventually. And then moving into collection stuff, I did pick up Adventure, Mystery, and Romance by John G. Kowalty, and that is because I was rereading parts of this for my Jane Eyre essay, and it reminded me that I remember really liking this book back when I was writing my thesis, and there are particularly some sections in here about mystery that I didn't have copied. So like basically I had a bunch of pages from this copied as a part of like what I was looking at for my thesis. I didn't have any of the mystery stuff in there, and I wanted to reference that for a potential future video essay about the history of the mystery genre. So I decided to go ahead and pick this up. Okay, and then let's move into conversion picks. So these are books that I had in one form and I got them in a different one. So first up, I picked up the 50th anniversary cloth-bound cover of Stoner from John Williams. I had this as a paperback previously. I really enjoyed that book. I gave it, I think, like 4.5 stars when I read it. And this is a modern classic that's really just sort of a quiet character study, but it is, in my opinion, a perfectly realized novel. So I was excited when I realized that there was an anniversary edition that I could get my little hands on. And then also, I finally found a hardback edition of Excellent Women. I can't decide how I feel about this very retro cover. I think I'm into it, but I think I'm also glad that we will be mostly seeing it like this and not like this. So anyway, this is, I think, Verrago Modern Classics. Yeah, Verrago Modern Classics put this edition out, and I love Excellent Women by Barbara Pym. Fantastic sort of novel of manners from the first half of the 20th century, and Barbara Pym is a gem. So yeah, anyway, I was excited to see that there was a hardback edition of this, so I grabbed it. And then my friend Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany picked up the hardback bind-up of the first 3 installments of Monstrous, and when I saw that she had it, I was like, well, I need that because I absolutely love Monstrous. I would say that this is one of my favorite high fantasy series, even if any of the individual editions don't necessarily make like an all-time favorite list for me. As a whole, 100%, I think of this as a series that is much greater than the sum of its parts. And yeah, so this is the first 3 of the volumes bound up into one hardback edition. And I'm assuming we're about to get the 6th one this year, I think. So I assume that there will be another hardback bind up at that point. At least I hope so. Okay, and then actually, I guess technically 3 of these are really also conversion picks, so maybe we'll start with those. I own all of the Side Changeling books as ebooks, but I also, whenever possible, want to have the hardback edition. However, there are no hardback editions, to my knowledge anyway, available for books 1 through 9, nor for the short story collections. So for the ones that I really love for books 1 through 9, I want to get the UK trade paperback editions because I think that they are much more attractive than the US mass market ones. So I have been slowly getting my hands on some of those. So I picked up Wild Invitation, which I would say these 4 short stories together in this edition is one of my favorite. I would probably give this like a 4.5 star. I absolutely love all of these novellas, and I reread this pretty frequently. So I picked that one up. I also picked up Wild Embrace, which is the other short story collection, and I also think that this is a pretty solid one. Not as good in my opinion as Wild Invitation, but still very strong. And then Branded by Fire, which is the 6th book in the series, and it is actually the next one that I need to reread, so very timely. But anyway, I picked those up as conversion picks. And then the rest of these are just pure collection editions. So first of all, I got Devotions by Mary Oliver. This is a bind-up of most of her best-known poems, and I was rereading Wild Geese a lot a couple of weeks ago, and it made me just want to get a full collection from her. She has several like kind of iconic poems. I forget which one is the one that has Your One Wild Precious Life, but that is definitely a very well-known quote. But like I said, Wild Geese has been the one that has just really been sticking with me lately. So I'm happy to have such a nice and comprehensive edition of her poetry and her work. Then I also decided to pick up the first 3 books in the original Percy Jackson series for a very superficial reason, which is, well, it's a little bit out of frame, but I already had the last 2, and I like that the spines make a pretty picture, and I realized they weren't really that expensive, and so I just went for it. I just decided to get it. So yeah, now I have all 5 of those with the little New York landscape and the tempestuous seas, which is super cute. And then the last thing I picked up, and I think I got this for free because of the points I had, is The Women of Brewster Place by Gloria Naylor. This is another in the Penguin Vitae collection. I believe that this is about life in New York City in the early 1980s. It says, in her heralded first novel, Gloria Naylor weaves together the stories of 7 women living in Brewster Place, a bleak inner city sanctuary, creating a powerful, moving portraits of strength, struggles, and hopes of Black women in America. Vulnerable and resilient, open-handed and open-hearted, these women forge their lives in a place that in turn threatens and protects, a common prison and a shared home. That is this month's Penguin Vitae one, and also the foreword is from Tayari Jones, so I feel like do a great job of picking people to write the forewords. So all in all, excited to have this. I continue to appreciate how much the Penguin Vitae line is like making me aware of some of these kind of more modern American classics that I wouldn't necessarily have sought out otherwise. So thanks to Penguin for that curation. And with that being said, I think that brings me to the end of this month's haul. There's a lot more in here than I remembered there being, but such is life when one is a book hoarder and books are always coming in and out of my collection. Those were the ones that came in. Let me know what you thought about any of the ones I picked up, or let me know about a book that you've recently picked up that you're excited about in the comments below. And yeah, I think that will do it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!